Human rights groups have condemned the beheading of a Sri Lankan housemaid in Saudi Arabia. The woman was convicted of killing a Saudi baby in her care when she was just 17. This is the passport Rizana Nafeek used to enter Saudi Arabia in 2005, giving her date of birth as February 1982. But her birth certificate says she was actually 6 years younger. The execution violates the United Nations Code governing the rights of minors. But some rights groups suggest she may never have had a fair trial to begin with. Amnesty International said Nafeek didn't have access to a lawyer. The Sri Lankan government said President Mahinda Rajapaksa had made two personal pleas to Saudi's King Abdullah to grant Nafeek a pardon.
The Sri Lankan government and the Saudi government could have dealt with this case differently. When this baby first died under Rizana's care, she was taken to the police and interrogated, and her entire trial happened with no access to a lawyer and no access to a competent translator. And this meant it's impossible for her to have had a fair trial. And both the Saudi and Sri Lankan governments should have ensured that she had those basic access to legal aid and translation. Some Saudi employers treat domestic workers well, but we are also concerned that there are far too many cases where domestic workers are subject to a wide range of abuse. Saudi labor law does not cover domestic workers, so they are not entitled to the basic protections that other workers can take for granted, such as a day off once a week or limits to their hours of work. Our investigations by Human Rights Watch have found that many domestic workers are laboring 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for months or years on end, often not allowed to leave the workplace, not allowed to call their families at home, and not getting their wages on time. Because of their isolation in private homes, and often because they don't know where to turn for help, they may not speak Arabic, many of them are in situations where they're at high risk of other forms of abuse, such as physical abuse, sexual abuse. In many cases, these conditions can amount to slavery-like conditions. And in some cases, we know of situations where domestic workers have been beaten to death.